Hello, welcome back to Veg Plot. Today we're somewhere completely different. It's never featured in any of my videos before, although I have mentioned that occasionally I'm going to take things to my mum's house. And today we're in my mum's greenhouse and we're going to be looking around the garden, and I've got some things to plant up for her and things to do around here. It's a completely different space and it's kind of weird, isn't it? Gardening in somebody else's space. It feels a bit like you're taking over, but she's quite happy me for, to do what I want to do, and I think it's all going to help anyway. We've got some tomatoes to plant. She's already growing some of the same tomatoes I brought down earlier in the year, but also we've been doing a lot of garden centre shopping, which has been great fun because obviously I don't have to buy it. But so we've got some lovely roses. We went to a place called Appledram Roses. You can look them up online actually, appledramroses.co.uk, something like that. And we've got some lovely roses here, so we'll have a look at those at the moment. I've got some leeks to plant out, and we've got some other plants here to plant out. We've got one of my cucumbers from home. I'm not sure which one this is. It's gherkin, Cornichon de Paris, so this is quite a small one. But then we also went to the garden centre this morning and we picked up some of these lovely aubergines. These are Moneymaker, sort of a dark purple aubergine, so we're going to plant those up. And I also got one cucumber F1 mini, so she quite prefers the smaller cucumber, so we're going to plant that up as well. So yeah, oh, and the other thing is, because we're sort of on a rose theme, we're going to be taking some rose cuttings. I've never tried that before. I don't know if you have. The guy at the garden centre said that the best time is to do it in October, but then I've read online that if you do fresh new cuttings you can do them now and they root quite well actually. So we're going to go and have a look around the garden, find some rose cuttings. There's one out here, it's a really lovely beautiful dark red. I think it's called Dublin Bay, and I remember buying it with her donkeys years ago. It's a climber from Appledram Roses, and yeah, it's really looking beautiful now. So we're going to take some cuttings from that and put them in root hormone powder and plant them up, and then we'll see in a few months time if we actually get some that take. Just going to look around the garden, shall we? So that's the greenhouse. It's got this lovely wiggly willow here. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, but all the stems of the willow are sort of curly and wiggly, but they can get absolutely enormous, so we regularly prune that down. But that's a beautiful little tree. Got some old English lavender here, various sort of shrubs and roses around the side, and this is a plum we planted I think last year. We've got a few little plums coming on it, but that's another lovely little tree, sort of on a miniature rootstock. We've got a big quince tree here, which I think is having a year off. Last year it went absolutely crazy. No quinces on it at the moment. A lovely little area here of Montbretia and things. But this is the rose I wanted to show you. And the camera picks it up. But yeah, look at this absolutely gorgeous Dublin Bay rose. It's sort of a deep velvety red. Luscious colour. So it's a really good time to take cuttings when the petals drop off the roses, and then you trim this back and then you take it right back down to the stem here, and then you can take sections and take cuttings from that. Well, that's my understanding anyway. So we should be doing that one and a few others just that I can see dotted around, and then we should plant them up and see how they grow. But yeah, isn't that a gorgeous colour? Really lovely rose. It grows quite tall, several metres. It's at the moment growing up this eucalyptus next to this silver birch, so yeah, all really nice. And this has got this little veg bed here, got a few potatoes in and some gooseberries and raspberries and things, so I've got some leeks and things to put in there, so we're going to do that in the moment. But yeah, so that's it, that's part of the garden. I'm not going to show you all of it because it's obviously mum's garden, I can't show everything. But yeah, let's go back in the greenhouse. I'll have a look at these roses that we bought. They're really nice, and they're just we're going to pop them up into some big pots for her. The first one we want to look at is this one here, and this, I'll take it outside actually, because I think in the bright sunlight, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but in the shade you get more of a feel for the colour. It's this beautiful double pink rose. There's no scent to it. It's sort of a ground cover rose. It's called Wiltshire, and it grows to about 1.5 to 2 feet in spread. So yeah, really nice, and that'll flower throughout the summer. And we're going to put it into this big tall pot here that Mum's got. So yeah, hopefully that'll sort of grow nice and big and drape over the edge. So that's the first one, Wiltshire, and this is the second one. Now again, I need to take this out into the shade just to capture the colour. Look at that, it's absolutely stunning. gorgeous. This is a patio rose. This is called Designer Sunset. And this again will flower throughout summer and autumn. Quite a small, low growing rose, and we're going to be putting it into that pot there, and then these will both go up on the patio for her. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And the compost we're using, recommended by the guy at Rose Nursery, is Rocket Grow. Never tried this before, obviously not sponsored by any of this, we bought all of it. And this is a peat-free multi-purpose compost which he recommended, with some John Innes addition, which I'm not quite sure what that is. But Rocket Grow are quite unusual. I've seen them before, people have done posts about their compost and stuff before, but yeah, this is something they use from their maize, rye and grass, which they grow and is used in a bio energy facility, and they use this to power 8,000 homes, and this is sort of the waste produce from that, I think. So yeah, looking forward. We'll open this and see what this is like, because I've never used it before. Right, let's just get the chair out. We won't be needing that. Right, let's just open up this bag. This is really looking quite interesting. You can see all the grains of sand, I think, in there, which adds some sort of drainage, and it's really soft and fluffy. I think they add sort of well compost, really fine composted green waste to this as well, and wood chip and so on. So I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so it's quite nice stuff by the looks of it. Perfect for this stage. I don't think they recommend it for small seeds and things. I think they recommend different stuff for seeds and so on, not cuttings. So I think this should be fine for the roses. I think the first one we're going to do is this Wiltshire, and that's going to go into the big pot, as I said. So I'll just move that out the way. Bring in this huge pot. This was a small one that they did, but yeah. First thing I'm going to do is put a piece of broken tile in the bottom, just like a crock basically. I think most people think this is for drainage, but apparently Monty Don and various others is not really that. It's to stop the compost from falling out the bottom. There's a lovely big hole in the bottom of this, so yeah, this should drain nice and freely. Right, just put that in the bottom over the hole, and then get some of the compost and pour it in and fill it up. Right, as with all plants out of pots, well, actually no, that's not true, is it? With many plants out of pots, and these, in this case with this rose, you want to plant it up to the same soil level that it's at in the pot. So just give this a gentle squeeze around the edge. Try and get my hand in here without being stabbed by one of the thorns, of which there are quite a few. And then we'll gently lift that out. There we go. And yeah, the roots just come into the edge of the pot, so this is looking good. So we should get this in the ground. So I just made a little well. Let's just tip it down here. Just a little well in the middle, and put that down. Now what I want is the top level of this rose to be about an inch or so down from the top level of the pot, so that when we water it, it's got plenty of room for watering. So we'll just make sure that's in the right place, and then we'll push the compost in around the edge of the pot, around the edge of the root ball, the plant, just to firm it in, not too tight, and then we'll get some more compost and fill up around the edges. Right, that's this lovely Wiltshire rose all potted up and ready to go, and I'm hoping it's going to form this sort of big cushion and all drape over the side of this pot. So yeah, really looking forward to how this turns out. Going to be back in about 3 weeks or so to check it out and see how we're going. But yeah, it's looking lovely at the moment. Actually, Appledram give this leaflet away as well, which I'm not sure, well, they gave it to me when we went in the nursery. I presume they'll include it in an order and so on, but it gives sort of all sorts of rose care hints and tips, how to plant for different types of roses, how to prune for different types of roses, and also sort of the feeding schedule and things like that. So this might be in your order. I have no idea if you buy any, but as I say, not sponsored by them, just went in there and bought some just because we've been buying them from there for years and years. Oh, it's heavy. Right, let's get this out, do the other one. Right, this is the Designer Sunset, as we mentioned earlier. Absolutely gorgeous looking rose. I say, I don't know if it picks it up and does it justice on the camera, but yeah, it's a lovely double rose. Let's get on and make a hole. and get this one in the ground as well. Oh, right, that's the designer sunset. So I can put this in position and then we'll get on with the grow bags. Now these are the tomatoes we've got in already, which I gave to Mum some months back, which she's grown on really well, and a guy who helps with the garden put them in for her. So we've got them on raised blocks, and the new one will be on planks. And the reason for that is, I don't know if you do it, but it sort of obviously keeps the bag off the ground, and that helps prevent, you know, slugs and snails finding their way up really easily, as if the bag were straight on the ground. Also ants as well. Yeah, not good in grow bags. So anyway, they're off the ground. This is, I'd say I probably would have put 3 maximum in here, but the little cherry falls, got little tomatoes coming already. Don't know if you can see in there, really lovely. So they're going to be good. Masses of flowers. I've got Alice's Dream on the end with some flowers at the top coming. And we've got Sunrise Jazz here, which is a beautiful looking tomato. And I say we've got flowers on this as well, and it's double stemmed up the top here. And then these, which I put in yesterday, these have the bottoms cut off the pots and then planted a bit deeper, which means you can help get more roots off here. Plus also it helps when you're watering, you know what to aim for rather than it sort of running over the edges of the plastic. So yeah, these are honeycomb. We've got some lovely little tomatoes coming on here, and more flowers. So I hope come back in about 3 weeks or so and those should have shot up probably another 6 to 8 inches and should really have got their roots down. Right, let's get on and plant these tomatoes that I brought up. I think we've got a black crim, which has got some nice tomatoes coming in already. I think we've got some more honeycomb, and I think this one, which I've chopped the top off because again it was scorched like in the last video, this is Cuban salami. Right, let's get these cucumbers and this Cornichon de Paris in the grow bags. So the first thing to do is get a decent sized pot. I'm not sure what litre size this is, and just cut the bottom off. So all I do is use a sharp knife and yeah, just gently work your way around, cutting off the base. There we go, chop the bottom off there. So that's all you're doing. And then the trick with this is to sort of place it in the middle of the bag like this, and then with your penknife, it's a bit hard angle in this to do in the greenhouse. I'll do it here just to show you. Use a knife and you just mark the inside of the pot on the actual plastic. Just flatten that off a little bit. Put it on there where you want the this plant to go, and then on the inside get your blade and just quickly just mark around the edge. You're not trying to cut the grow bag at this stage, and then it leaves this sort of little circle as a guide, and then you can take your knife and just gently work your way around. Just like that. Take that out, dispose of that, and then what I like to do is just move the compost aside a little bit, loosen it up a bit, and then if you get the pot, you can just usually wiggle it in like this. And what that does is it doesn't go all the way down to the base of the bag, but it just gives you space to plant your new plant into it, and then let the roots grow down and out. And if it's a tomato, obviously, then it can root out sideways. So I'm not going to put this cucumber in here. I think what we'll do is we'll put a small honeycomb tomato. So this honeycomb tomato, you can see it's just a small pot. So we'll pop that out, loosen the roots up, and then you see you can just put that, you can dig it down even if you like, put that in the middle, and then it's buried a bit deeper, and then we'll fill the soil up to about 1 inch from the surface. And give it a drink of water just to settle everything in, settle the compost down, make sure the roots have got something to drink, and that's that. That's got those in. Well, not everything actually. We've got the tomatoes in, got the 3 there in there in that grow bag. We've got the Cornichon de Paris and the Cucumber F1 Mini in here, and they shall all be growing up these canes, and we should be tying them to these as they go. So that's as good as I got those. The aubergines, I ran out of compost. I've got to go get some compost tomorrow, and I think these are going to go into pots so that they can move in and out, because I've found in the past that When I've had aubergines at home, if I can move them out of the greenhouse, they tend to pollinate better. More pollinators outside than in. And I've got more aubergines, so these are going to go in the pots, and we shall just see how they go. Right, let's go over to the roses and yeah, get some cuttings of those. So I've found a couple of stems. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them right down here near the base, just below a leaf node, these two, and then we'll take them back to the greenhouse and I'll show you how to cut them up, take the leaves off, and yeah, prepare the cuttings. There's one, and there's another. And quite an important thing apparently with roses is to get these straight into water as soon as you've cut them. Right, straight into water, so I've been told, as soon as you possibly can. The next thing to do is get some sharp secateurs. I haven't got any here at Mum's, didn't bring them with me. So I've just got my scissors. What you want to do is right near the end apparently, underneath the leaf node, he says, not very good with these scissors, but yeah, just cut the end of there at an angle. And then what you do is you count up 4 leaf nodes. So we've got this 1, 2, 3, 4. And we leave the top leaf, but we take off the others, because what will happen is there's more certain type of cell at these leaf nodes, is that they will root from where these leaf nodes are. 3 up, leave 1, and then cut above that again at square angle. And then what I shall also do is just break off the prickles, because nobody wants to get stabbed by the prickles. So I'll just break those off, and then we end up with a cutting which is fairly nice and clean and smooth. One last prickle, 1 leaf at the top, and then these 3 leaf nodes, and then we'll dip this into hormone rooting powder and put this into the compost. So the way I'm doing this is to get this completely coated with rooting powder, tap most off, but you can see now it's stuck to the stem, especially on all those little prickle points and where the leaf nodes are. And then what we want to do, I'll show you how I did that in a minute, because I want to get this into the pot. You take the pot here and you just push this down into the centre. I'm going to slightly in, about 1 inch in from the edge of the pot. That's how I'm going to do these. And I'm going to slightly angle it. So just push that in as deep as it'll go, and then firm the compost around it like that. Now, I'll explain how I did this. So basically, because if I push this stem into here, we'd obviously only get that much, which is no use to me. I need the rooting hormone powder to go all the way up the stem. So make sure this is nice and wet as far up as we want it to be. And then I've tipped some of the hormone powder into this plastic bag. And then what you do is you insert the stem into the bag, and you can then jiggle the rooting powder all over it without tipping it everywhere and without losing loads. Take that out, and you've obviously got your hormone rooting powder all the way up the stem. So again, I'm going to push this one in at an angle into the middle, down as far as it goes. Put the compost around there like that, and I should probably get one more in here. It's why it's quite good to use quite deep pots for these cuttings. So that's that, and I'll explain why they're in the middle in a moment. So what we want to do now is we want to cover over these cuttings, because we want it to remain really humid around them. And so to do that, what I'm doing is I'm using 3 little sticks or canes, whatever you've got, and then I'm going to place a plastic bag over the top. Now, I'm not sure if this will fit. This is all I've got on my mum's, but I'll just show you the idea of it. And you put the bag over these canes, and that'll keep it away from the cuttings. So I need to shorten these canes just a little bit. I'm not sure if my penknife will do that. That's that one. That one. And I think I'm going to need a different one for that. There we go. Take the bag again, try that again. And then that should just reach around this pot. There we are. And then what that does is that creates a really humid sort of atmosphere for the cuttings to help prevent water loss and give them a chance to root using that hormone rooting powder into this pot. And so they will stay in here for quite a while now until we start to see roots coming out of the bottom, probably, I don't know, a couple of months at least. And we should just leave them in there, water them regularly just to make sure the compost stays damp. Yeah, and then hopefully these will root. Now, as I say, I haven't tried this before, but I've done plenty of other cuttings using the same sort of method, and it's all worked fine. One other little trick I would say is just to cut the corners off the bag. If you do that, then you end up with a little hole, and then that means that there's some ventilation. And so you want to leave this in a nice warm place, such as here in the greenhouse, and then this will build up condensation in the bag, and any extra heat and too much condensation can come out these little holes, so it doesn't sort of get far too hot. And that's how I'm doing the rose cuttings. So last couple of things I'm not sure if I mentioned, and that is it's a good idea to water your compost before you push the cuttings in to make sure it's nice and moist, and then afterwards, once you've pushed them in, just give it a little water just to help settle compost in around the cuttings and all that rooting powder. Yeah, keep them somewhere nice and bright in the greenhouse or polytunnel or conservatory, not in full blazing sunshine, they'll get far too hot, but say partially shaded and they should be fine. And fingers crossed, sort of in a few months' time, we should have rooted cuttings of this lovely Dublin Bay climbing rose. Yeah, I've always admired this in Mum's garden. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, hope you've enjoyed that, folks. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.